You are here because the outside world rejects you.
My calculations are correct. Cheers through some serious shit.
Shall we play a game?
And I'm a nerd. Pretty proud of it.
Learn it, know it, live it.
What the fuck is up, Podcast of Pain? I'm your host, the D, and this is episode 44. 44. I'm moving, I'm moseying along. Good deal. How is everybody? I wanted to come on here and redeem myself from all the shit show bullshit garbage that was The Monster Squad. It was one of my favorite movies, still is one of my favorite movies, and I don't feel like I did it justice. I've seen movies so many times that I can literally sit there and quote the movie word for word. I can spot the lines before they even come up and get eye rolls and all kinds of shit. But unfortunately, the buffer is I have to have the movie playing. I took little to no notes, and I'm counting it as an L for me. So today, another one of my favorite movies growing up is Return of the Living Dead, arguably one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. Right there with Zombieland, the remake of the Dead, as well as Shaun of the Dead, pretty much George Romero's entire catalog. But this was the one that really started it for me. I remember seeing the cover, and I know the Escape Pod guys have talked about it before, being in an actual physical video store and being able to look at the box art. And that would make or break a lot of the movie decisions that you'd have for that evening. Me, on the other hand, I knew I wasn't going to watch these fucking terrifying ass, creepy ass movies, but I still had to look at the box. There were some cases I didn't even want to flip it over to the back because I was so it gave me the heebie-jeebies. So mortified, if you will. Like I said, episode 44. Thanks for joining me on a fucking Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's about 7 o'clock. I'm trying not to make this go overboard because I know a lot of you guys aren't fucking horror movie fans and all this other bullshit, you bitches. Anyway, I wanted to mention that my pronouns are Mike and Mike. Mike as in Mike's Hard Lemonade, and Mike as in Mike's Hard Lemonade. There we go with that. This is not a safe space for any motherfuckers out there. It's a nerd haven for nerds and nerds alike. If you feel like you need someone to step on eggshells for your feelings and your opinions and this and that, get the fuck off my lawn. That's all I got to tell you. I tell people 9 times out of 10, straight up, first day, I will hurt your fucking feelings. If you still want to fuck around and find out, that's on you. I don't care. You can send people to my house with pitchforks and torches and all this other bullshit, and they will fall into the bowels of eternal stench. So the bog of eternal stench. Sorry. What else? Anything to fucking? Oh yeah, still got plumbing issues. That's awesome. Plumber was supposed to be here today at noon. 7 hours later, still hasn't shown up. I got the phone call. They were backed up. No, that wasn't plumber humor. And they should be here tomorrow. So I'm going to play hooky. It's not hard for me to do. Not want to go to work, but I'm playing hooky to deal with this problem early morning and get it worked out finally. I'm tired of fucking tired of grown up homeowner problems. It's bullshit. Kids, stay with your mom and your dad as long as you possibly can. Shout out Jay Stoddard, my dude. Going postal, I hate all of your dogs. That's all there is to it. They're up too early. They bark too fucking much. And you guys do absolutely nothing about it. Anything else needing to mention at this time? I don't think so. I got 3 motherfucking viewers. What up, y'all? Show yourselves in the comments. Show yourselves in the chat so I can shout you out. Until then, ATSW, the homies, Donovan Delanucci, Brady Lovin, and Dragon Buddy, every Wednesday. I completely forgot it was Wednesday, and I missed their episode. I think it was another free balling episode, but still. This coming Friday around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be guest appearing on, I believe it's Layman's Terms, with the homie Keith Layman, talking about ghosts. I don't know how much insight I will be able to give him, because let's face it, the only ghost story I know is one about an accountant named Sam Wheat. And it was probably Demi Moore's least flattering haircut, where she looked like Mo Howard from the Three Stooges. Everything else, she was pretty firing. Everything else, she was pretty firing. But yeah, ghost. Not a fan of that haircut. Didn't do her any favors. All right, so let's jump into the meat and the potatoes of this movie review. I did watch it today, and I wrote it out fucking longhand. So hopefully that gives me an assist with today's with the last episode's issues. Is there anybody of note in this? Tom Matthews is in this. For the Friday the 13th fans, you guys remember him as Tommy Jarvis in part 6 of Friday the 13th. That is the one where Jason Voorhees begins his journey into the zombie hood. You know, they bring him back to life in that crazy, magical, mystical carnival bullshit. And yeah, I met that motherfucker too. Soured me on the first time I met him because he called me Garius. That's right. Not Darius with a D, Garius with a G. Like my name is not that complicated. It really isn't. Garius. It's just like fucking Hootie and the Blowfish. What the fuck is your damage, dude? But anyway, I paid for an autograph and a picture, and now I have my name spelled wrong for all eternity. Let's turn on the comments here from the phone so I can interact with some of you guys if you pop in today. YouTube, your channel. There we go. Here we are. We're to the living dead, you guys. It's gonna be great. Okay, so let's jump right into it. We start out at we start with one of those screens that basically, you know, normally it says the events are fictional, all the names and places have been changed to protect the innocent. They completely throw that out the window. They say everything portrayed is completely real. It's a zombie movie and everything is completely real. Right. So we are joined at the storefront of the You Need a Medical Supplies. You need it, we got it. July 3rd, 1985, 5:30 p.m. So what's DST? Daylight Savings Time. Okay, fucking put the initials. Inside, we have Bert, who's ready to bail for the night. It's 4th of July weekend. He's getting ready to go home, get ready for the barbecue, big barbecue on Sunday. And Frank, James, Karen, and Freddie, Tom Matthews, still have some work to finish up. But they assure their boss they're going to close up. They're going to handle everything, and they're going to get everything shipped up and cleaned up, and it's going to be a good time. It's Freddie's first day at work, and Frank's showing him the ropes. He's showing Freddie how to pull an order for a customer, how to read the part numbers on manifests, showing him over various inventory, stuff like that, including the cadaver storage area. So, you know, like medical supply schools and shit like that, they have actual dead bodies, people that have donated their bodies to science. Anybody want to buy a crusty black dead man? Very used. He's still good-ish. Anyway, you cut to a group of 6. Tina, Chuck, Casey, Spider, Scuzz, and Trash walking down the street talking about where the big party is for that night. Tina mentions she has to go up and pick Freddie up from work, and the other suggests going together because Freddie's the man. And he knows where all the hot party spots are at. Meanwhile, we see Freddie now in the office with Frank, and they're looking at medical books and just bullshitting throughout the rest of the day or whatever like that. And Freddie asks Frank, like, what's the craziest shit you've ever seen in here while you've been working? And Frank, you know, does one of those tongue-in-cheek, like, looks around and shit like that. Come here, man. So, well, you know what? You know, you ever seen that movie, Night of the Living Dead? And he's like, yeah. All right. Well, that's where they got the story for this. Because It's based on experimental chemical spill back in 1969 at a VA hospital. And the chemicals seep down into the morgue, right? And all those chemicals made the body start moving around and shit like they were alive. And with the typical Army fuck up, because, you know, they be answering letters written in crayon and shit. What up, Monster Squad? They accidentally shipped these contaminated bodies to that very warehouse that they're working in. And they're still stored in the basement for some goddamn reason. You know how like the Army bullshit, like if you are part of privy to a fuck up, they will like unalive you. They will make you disappear and shit. So that's probably why nobody said anything. Let's see. Frank then very stupidly asks Freddy, "Hey man, you want to go see those corpses for yourself?" You know, like anybody with a semi creepy disposition, Freddy's like, "Sure." Follows Frank down into the basement. Frank points out several what seem to be very well sealed tanks marked property of the Department of the Army. And they supposedly contain some of these bodies from the botched chemical spill from several years prior, right? And Freddy, he's like, "Man, are you sure these fuckers won't leak?" You know, and Frank's just like, "Sure, man, these are built to fucking last. These are from the U.S. Army." Does something like that, and this noxious gas just bursts from the side of this fucking container, right? They both fucking inhale it. They both fucking cough and retch. They both pass the fuck out. Let's see. That's when the creepy music starts and the title card appears, Return of the Living Dead. And, you know, we get a whole scene. We get a scene of like the graveyard and the fumes that are traveling up into the exhaust fan and into other rooms of this facility. And right now, I'll go ahead and play a little bit of this fucking creepy ass fucking music right quick. Let me make sure the volume's a little downer like that, right there. And we're gonna play like right there. Gonna do that right there. Is it gonna play? Lurleen, get your ass in here. Oh, there it goes. I got it, honey. Well, hopefully that doesn't drown out any of my speaking. But this is like the theme song to Return of the Living Dead. Why did it do that? Anyway, through the title card, the fumes are seen traveling throughout the warehouse via exhaust fans, reanimating stock, such as fetal pigs and cadavers, as well as the body that was inside the now leaking Army container. The music fades. Not here. Not yet. It's about 2 minutes long, you guys. We are outside the fenced-in and guarded property of the Colonel Glover, 4 p.m. Pacific time. So you guys do the fucking math and figure out what time it is there. Colonel Glover logs into the earliest version of the internet communication, letting his cohort note where he's retired from. He's retiring off the home. He'll be there all night if they need to get a hold of him. You know, him and his wife kind of have a little back and forth. She doesn't like all that fucking radio equipment in the house because it fucks with her oven. And Colonel Glover explains, like, yeah, but, you know, we got to do it until we find them. You know, very tongue-in-cheek, very low on the DL. He's speaking on the DL, nothing specific, very vague. We gotta find them. We don't even know if they're still out there. As dinner's almost ready, yeah, like I said, Glover and his wife briefly discuss an ongoing work-related stress of him being on call all the time, finding and possibly never finding them, and how they've been through this before. So apparently the Army's been through this ordeal before. I'm telling you, man, our Army is not portrayed very well in movies. Anyway, he cut back to the gang riding around now at about 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time, now joined by Driver Suicide, the names they come up with. Anybody who is also familiar with the Friday the 13th franchise will know Suicide is Vic from Friday the 13th Part 5. He acts the fat kid in the back. As a matter of fact, Spider is also, I got to look his name up, you guys, but Spider is also an actor who portrays a character in Friday the 13th Part 5. And give me a second. I know what his name is. It's Muniz. Where is it? Rico and Diego? That ain't it. Okay, let me look it up. I heard we lost fucking Dumbledore today. I thought he died already, but internet be fucking up. Okay, so the actor is Miguel A. Nunez. A lot of y'all might know him from other shit, like he was in Scooby Doo as the Voodoo Maestro. He was in Street Fighter as DJ. I still can't get over how bad they fucked that movie up. He was also in Harlem Nights. You broke my nose, man. As well as many other probably semi. Joanna Man, I think that was him. Joanna Man, Jesus Christ, who the fuck was responsible for that? We're going on a witch hunt for that son of a bitch. Anyway, yeah, so we're joined by the driver, Suicide. They have about 2 hours to kill before Freddy gets off of work at 10, and they debate on what they're going to do for fun, right? For some reason, all these motherfuckers decide they're going to break in and party at a cemetery. Like, yeah, that's what I would have done. Fuck it. Frank and Freddy finally begin to regain consciousness and assess what happened. They discover the body that was supposedly in this tank is now gone, but Frank assumes that it probably just melted once the fresh air hit it. You know what I mean? It's been locked up like preserves or whatever. You know what I mean? They both decide to try and conceal this folly and spray lice all over the place because this place stinks, man. Whatever the fuck this chemical is, it's all over them. That's all they can smell. They got to cover it up because when Bert finds out, he's going to flip his fucking shit, right? And while they're doing that, they start hearing like what sounds like the faint whispering of a dog. And they follow the sound, and it turns out to be one of the cut in half dog displays that has now been reanimated because of all this fucking nerve gas that came out of this container. Things only get worse because now there's like a violent banging from the other side of the fridge door where the cadavers are kept, right? So fuck yeah. A cadaver's now reanimated and trying to get the fuck out of there. They lock themselves in the office so they can try and argue with each other and come up with a plan. What the fuck are we gonna do? They calm down a little bit. You know what? Fuck this. We're calling Bert. He'll know what to do. We cut to Trash. She's played by Linnea Quigley. In this movie, she's the infamous chick in all the B movies and the horror movies that's always fucking naked for whatever reason. She finds her, they write her into the script. She has to take all of her clothes off and shit. And this one's kind of fucked up. She's got this flat top, this spiky pink flat top, right? And she's completely naked. Now, if you go to the trivia of this film, they wanted her to shave. There's a whole fucking story behind it. They're like, yeah, we're not there yet. Time-wise, we can't be doing all that. We got to cover her up. We got to like put pasties on her or some shit. I don't think it happened, but yeah, that was a thing. Anyway, she's sitting in the cemetery. She starts having this crazy conversation with Spider about like, what's your worst fantasy, or what's your worst way to, what's your how you want to die or something like that. This conversation about death and dying, and she starts feeling some kind of way. She starts stripping her clothes off. Mind you, this is fucking what? 7:30. It's still pretty fucking light out in front of all her friends cheering her on. She gets on top of a gravestone and starts fucking dancing. They turn the music on. There's always that one, right? All right, so my little parched, so I need to grab a drink. Like I said, my pronouns are Mike and Mike. Say hi, Mike. All right, so Bert shows up cussing out Frank for his fuck up, and he tries to come up with a plan. Did I skip something? Okay, so he's telling them all what's happening. There's a reanimated fucking corpse in the fridge right now. We were just fucking goofing around. That goddamn container burst, and now we're all fucked up. All this shit's coming back to life. We don't know what the fuck to do, so we called you. All right? And I ain't no kind of manager, man. I'd shut that shit down. I mean, I don't know what I would do in that fucking situation either. I'd fucking lock them in there, personally. You fucked it up, you clean it up. Anyway. Whew, pronouns are good. Anyway, Bert decides that they had to destroy this cadaver. And they had this conversation back and forth talking about all the shit from this movie, right? Now in the movie, you killed him by destroying the brain, right? So let's just do that. Let's let him out of the closet or out of the fridge, and we'll get this pickaxe and we'll just stick him in the fucking head with this pickaxe. And of course, Frank's a big old fucking pussy, you know, listening to this whole story he's making about Queasy and shit. You know, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He's, you know, oh, fuck, he just want this shit to be over with. And so Bert directs Freddy, you man the door, okay? You get ready to open the door. Frank, you get ready to stick this motherfucker in the head with the pickaxe. And Bert's just standing by a fucking shelf nearby. Like, he doesn't want to be bothered by this shit at all. He doesn't know what he's in for, right? They open the door. The cadaver runs the fuck out. Is this great big yellow naked dude, bald head, running around and shit like that. And after some tussling, Freddy and Frank wrestle the body to the floor. Bert swings the pickaxe right into the skull. But the motherfucker ain't dead, right? The motherfucker's still very much animated. Now it's like screaming. It's like this wailing. Like, you know, when your kids are fucking hungry and they won't let you podcast and they're like, I'm microwave. Something like that. But like, as the typical zombie movie attack didn't work, right? You know, hit him in the skull or kill his skull, kill the brain, whatever. Bert runs and grabs a handsaw. Well, like, all right, well, like, how else can we destroy the brain, right? So they got this body pinned down. Bert starts fucking hacking off his goddamn head. Frank and Freddy are still screaming in horror. Bert saws off the head. The body then hops up because it's still alive. And the head's pinned down by the pickaxe. Freddy wrestles the body down again. Frank grabs a rope and they hog tie the motherfucker. While discussing how inaccurate these zombie movies are, right, they manage to hog tie the body and they construct a new plan. Bert's like, I know, I'm going to call Ernie. He works next door at the crematorium. Okay. And I mean, oh man, Jesus Christ, because it's now 9 o'clock. It's now 9:15. Ernie's enjoying a late night work session, embalming a fresh body. He's got his headphones on and shit like that. And there's a knock at the door. Of course, you can't hear it because he's got his headphones on, but it's Bert. He kind of more or less sneaks in and gets his attention and almost gets his fucking head blown the fuck off. Like, I guess that's a thing where people sneak into embalming rooms, so you got to be armed and all this other shit. Ernie is, if you guys are familiar with Weekend at Bernie's, he plays the hitman, the guy that sticks Bernie in the ass with the needle and then follows him around towards the end of the movie. Not Vito. What was his name? Jesus Christ, I don't remember his name. Paulie. I think that was Paulie was his name. All right. So in this movie, he's playing a goddamn embalmer. And then the next movie I see him in, he's chasing around a dead body. Weird. Anyway. Bert shows up for a brief session on rigor mortis. You know, Ernie's showing him like how a body works, and like you see how the blood is pooling, and it's like a dark spot on where this guy's laying it right now. Rigor mortis is starting to set in. You got to work the body around, otherwise it's gonna set, you know, seize up. You won't be able to move it anymore. That's just how dead bodies work. Anyway, eventually Bert tells Ernie his situation, and reluctantly Ernie decides that he's going to help with this predicament. We still got the gang hanging out in the cemetery. Tina leaves. Tina's the normal looking one of this group. She leaves to go and pick up Freddy. She rings the doorbell, and of course there's no answer because he ain't there. Freddy and the other guy, Frank, are now at this embalmer's office workspace area trying to figure out what to do with this goddamn reanimated cadaver, right? So he ain't there. Ernie and Bert, no, I never even noticed that. Shit. Bert and Ernie, they start to load up. They start to cut up this still alive cadaver into pieces, and they start putting it into the crematorium oven, right? Seemingly, that seems like the only other option. You can't kill it. We cut it up. It's still alive, whatever. And then there's a thick smoke that starts to emit from the ceiling, or not the ceiling, the chimney rather. And almost immediately establishes like an acid rain that begins to fall in the area. The ragtag group, they frantically leave the cemetery when it starts raining, and they jump into Suicide's car. Of course, the car won't start, right? He just got a fucking tune-up, bro. I don't know what's going on. But obviously, like in all horror movies, the car don't start when you need it to. Just then, As the group exclaims that the rain is burning their skin, the rain seeps in to the fucking car roof, to the sunroof, pouring down the gang. So they dip. Bert and Ernie, I'm never going to get over that. I don't know why I didn't notice that when I was writing this. Bert and Ernie look over the ashy remnants of the crematorium oven, and they're excited that their plan worked out. Everything's going to be okay. Freddie and Frank are getting worse. They're wailing and they're cramping up and they just like feel so ill. They just feel like death. Wah, wah. The chemicals that they breathe in is giving them chills, aches, and pains. Ernie calls poison control and paramedics to their location. Tina's still wandering around aimlessly in Freddie's warehouse. She decides to wander down to the basement. Fuck off. Like what? I know. This creepy ass fucking place at night. I'm going to go in the basement. I'm calling for Freddie. Nobody's answering. Let's go see what's happening on downstairs. She wanders downstairs and she discovers the broken military container. Turns around and meet what has only been ever described as Tar Man. He's like this big skeleton, this big gelatinous, greasy, just gross. One of the most terrifying characters from my childhood. Tina runs up the stairs only to fall through one of the faulty steps near the top, and she falls back into the basement. So quickly, she runs and she gets into like a storage closet, right? Like one of those little like broom closet type of things you get at Home Depot or some shit that they overcharge you for, the ones with the two handles on the front. And for whatever reason, the Tar Man is still intelligent and MacGyveristic enough to attach a winch to the fucking door handles with a chain and goes to the other side of the room to fucking crank it open, force the closet open. While seeking refuge from the acid rain, the punk gang wanders inside the medical supply and begins to call for Tina. They follow the scream down into the basement where Suicide discovers a chain hanging from one end of the room to the closet. So there's a curtain like in front on this side, right? He just like, what the fuck? And he rips the fucking curtain down to reveal the Tar Man. First thing Tar Man does is grab him by the fucking head and just bites right into this motherfucker's dome and starts eating into his skull. Tina runs. She dips. She doesn't even say, hi, guys, bye, guys. She comes from hiding in that closet and she dips up the fucking stairs past everybody else. The rest of the gang still watching their friend be cannibalized by this fucking half-dead motherfucker, right? And Spider, the black guy, he's the only one that gets into action and he grabs a fucking paint can. He launches it right at Tar Man, hits him in the back. Tar Man's attention is now diverted to the rest of the group. He was like, Lord brains! And they all dip. They leave Spider to barricade the door. So they all go up the stairs, out the door. Spider slams the door while everybody else is still running. He's like, you punk motherfuckers, why don't you help me barricade this goddamn door? Anyway, that's going to get him killed. It's going to get him killed someday. Next, we see the medical crew arrive at the mortuary to check on Frank and Freddie. And as they're checking their vitals, they assume their equipment is not working properly, as Freddie and Frank don't have a pulse. They don't have any blood pressure, and their temperature says they're only about 70 degrees, which is room temperature, almost as if they were like corpses. Weird. The punk crew realize that Freddie isn't at work, and they run back to the cemetery. Like, that's what I would do. If he's not in this building, fuck it. We're going to go back outside where it's fucking raining acid rain. Bunch of fucking retards. They begin to disperse as bodies start crawling out of the fucking ground. Everyone else manages to escape while Trash is still left by herself to be attacked by a large group of zombies. So like this naked bitch, she's still naked. And now all of her friends fucking dip. And she gets eaten by like 5 or 6 fucking zombies. Awesome. Which is pretty much exactly the predicament that she had fantasized about earlier before. As the paramedics explain that technically Freddie and Frank are dead, the rest of the punk group make it to the front door of the mortuary, banging on it, trying to get in. Ernie reluctantly lets Spider, Tina, and Skulls in. Meanwhile, Chuck and Casey, the other two, they hide back out at the medical supply. Like they find an office to hide in. The paramedics leave back to their vehicle just as they begin to hear a strange moaning / screaming sound. One paramedic goes to the stretcher in the back for Freddie and Frank, and the other one decides to get on the radio and call headquarters for help. As paramedic number 1 I think his name is Jerry. He gets inside the van. He reaches and turns on the headlights to reveal a large zombie horde of undead right in front of the fucking van. Without almost any hesitation, they open up the fucking passenger door. They attack his ass. And paramedic number 2, or I don't think was named at all, dead meat. He's just dead fucking meat. He's still in the back. He's like, hey, man, what's going on up there? Before he knows it, the rest of the zombies burst through the window and they fucking take him and they tear him apart and shit like that. Chuck and Casey run to the office to call police, and a zombie jumps right through the fucking window. That ain't gonna work. They escape and barricade the office door. So they leave the office, slam the door, and start barricading it with like bookshelves and shit. Freddie and Tina are finally reunited, though the events of Ernie. Wait a minute. They are finally reunited through the events as Ernie runs back outside to ready his car. Like he's, all right, man, we got to get the fuck out of here, right? I got a car, got my keys. We can get the fuck out of here and go for help, right? So, where am I at? Reading is hard. Ernie is startled by a little zombie, like it's a little fucking midget zombie eating one of the paramedics. It's fucking crazy. He shoots at him a couple times and he runs back inside. And this little motherfucker's fast, right? Crazy, crazy, scary shit. Like, not only is he a midget, sorry, little people, if that offends you, but not only is he a midget, he's a fucking zombie midget. And he's got a fucking paramedic hanging out of his mouth and he's running towards this guy. Crazy shit, man. Ernie, let's see, he runs back inside. Ernie begins to call the police to find out that the phone line's dead. Ernie and the gang begin to barricade the doors and windows while gathering any weapons that they can find. Bert explains to the group what happened, and Freddie and Frank come to realize what's happening to their bodies over time and what's eventually going to happen to them. There's another pair of paramedics that fucking show up to the scene, and they get attacked and eaten by waiting undead zombies outside. While trying to reinforce the window, Scuzz is attacked and killed by a female zombie torso. If you know, you know. Just look up Return of the Living Dead. I can feel myself rot. She's got this bright red fucking hair, and she's half a torso. Her titties are kind of fucking hanging out. Not very appetizing to look, but she's a fucking zombie. Anyway, so they pull Scuzz's body back in, attached to this fucking torso. Scuzz is fucking dead. You know, he's got this great big old fucking wound on the top of his head. They pull his body back inside. They barricade the rest of the window. Ernie decides to restrain this little zombie torso and get some insight. You know, like, why do you guys eat people? Not people. Brains. Okay. Why do you eat brains? It makes the pain of being dead go away. Which I'm not going to question the fucking legitimacy of that. I'm not going to question how much that makes sense or doesn't make sense. They eat brains. We don't want to feed them our brains. Being dead sucks. Bert decides that it's best to segregate Frank and Freddie into another room until they can figure out what exactly to do. You know, you guys are sick. You guys are all fucked up. We're not trying to get all fucked up too, so we're going to go ahead and put you in this other room. And of course, the girlfriend Tina is like, I'm not going to leave you. All right, bitch, you can die in there with them too. Fuck it. You know, you want to be the stupidest bitch out of the whole group. Go ahead. They lock them both in the chapel. Tina relents, decides to stay at Freddy's side. Like I said, stupid bitch. 2 police officers arrive on the scene to figure out what the fuck is going on. And they're completely obliterated by zombies. It's like there's absolutely no communication between the 2 paramedics, the second pair of paramedics, and then these 2 fucking cops. Everybody's just like, what? What's going on out here? And before they know it, zombie attack. Like, y'all never played a fucking zombie game before? Oh, right. Ernie, Spider, and Bert come up with a temporary attack method. They've got this acid. I forget what kind of acid it was, but it burns through just about fucking anything. Obviously, they use it at a mortuary or whatever. Freddie, he finally succumbs to a sickness and passes away, and then very quickly turns into a fucking zombie, you know? So she's holding him, he passes away and shit, and then he, like, almost immediately, like, wakes up and says, you know, now I realize what I need to get through all this pain. And she's like, what? Live brains! And he tries to attack Tina. After a brief chase around the chapel, Bert and Spider, they finally subdue Freddy. Freddy lunges again and has acid thrown in his face, so now he's blind. Ernie, thanks a lot for that, Ernie. He's basically got these two great big old fucking orange buttholes where his eyes used to be. Freddy begins trying to blindly break through the chapel doors as the group decides and tries to escape the crematorium. Ernie reveals that his foot's now broken, another hurdle that the group must face, right? Bert and Spider make for the cop car, because the cop car's out there, it's running, and they try and draw the zombie horde away from the crematorium. Now these motherfuckers inside, so it's Tina and Ernie are like, what the fuck? They're leaving us. You know, Ernie gets it, trying to calm Tina down because she won't shut the fuck up. Spider doesn't get it either. It's like, we got to get the fuck out of here and get help, man. You know, they'll be okay until we get back. There are hundreds. They say they drive through this big ass gate and they come into like a more, I guess it's more populated part of town because they're faced with like literally like 100 fucking zombies in their fucking way. They have to detour and go back towards the medical supply. And for whatever reason, this fucking retard Bert crashes his car into the side of the building. The car ignites. Chuck and Casey, they're right there. They see what's going on. They unlock the door. They let Spider and Bert inside. Freddy has managed to escape the confines of the chapel, and now he's just blindly looking around for brains. Ernie and Tina make their way into the attic area of the crematorium just as Freddy bursts into the work area, whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, Frank accepts his fate. He's, wailing and shit like that. He loads himself into the cremator, the big oven, right? Several more squad cars. There's probably like 6 more squad cars with 2 cops apiece in each. And let's see where we're at. Only to be attacked by waiting zombies. A helicopter's flying around, and you can hear the guy on a megaphone like, if there's anybody who wants to surrender, make your way to this perimeter right now, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, fuck yeah, that's where we need to go. We need to get there. Bert is in the office. I guess the zombie's dead. No, they go into the basement where Tarman is, right? I'm going to make sure I didn't get this mixed up. Bert goes for the phone to alert the police of their presence as the group tells him about the zombie in the office and the Tarman in the basement. There we go. Bert tells Spider, I don't give a fuck if there's a zombie down there. We're going to get to this fucking phone. Bert's the man. Bert tells Spider, go ahead and open the door, because fuck that zombie. He arms himself with a baseball bat. They got all kinds of weird shit in this fucking office, man. I tell you what. Freddy persists trying to get into the barricaded attic. Freddy persists trying to get into the barricaded attic to get at Tina and Ernie. Ernie holds Tina closer, but you can kind of sort of tell like he's debating about like shooting her in the head and then shooting himself in the head, because like they deep down, when it comes down to it, you ain't trying to fucking get eaten by no motherfucking zombies, right? You got to do what you got to do. So back at the facility, the medical supply place, Spider opens up the door and lets the Tarman out. Like the motherfucker's just been waiting at the top of the stairs this whole time. Crazy shit, right? And then one Babe Ruth swing later, the Tarman's head flies the fuck off and the body collapses to the ground. Like, I never understood that either. So they stab this fucking cadaver in the head, and the cadaver's still fucking going. They Babe Ruth this fucking Tarman's head the fuck off, and his body's collapsed, and he's no longer a threat. It's just kind of weird. Anyway, the group makes their way downstairs to the phone. Bert calls the police and explains the situation to a nearby officer. They patch him into a nearby officer near the scene. There's this whole big barricade, and everybody's like, wait a minute, we got all this fucking commotion. What's going on over there, Gene? All these fucking zombies start mobbing this great big barricade. More cops fucking dead. Bert decides it's time to call in the big guns, and he calls the 800 number that's on the container, which originally held the Tarman. This is the container that started the whole goddamn ordeal in the first place. There's an 800 number on it, right? So after a little redirecting and being on hold for probably 20 fucking minutes, Colonel Glover gets waken up, and he's connected directly to Bert. And Bert's explaining all this note taking. The colonel's doing the note taking. Colonel Glover says, okay, I'm going to put you back on with such and such. Colonel Glover calls his boss. Bert and the group are still on the line waiting for a response. He hears of this contingency plan that is going to be activated by the military. All at once, like this is all in one, like, you know, how they do 3 events, but it's all like one at one time, one shot, whatever the fuck filmmakers call that. You see the bomb getting launched. You see side by side Freddy's bursting through the attic door. You see all these fucking zombies, including Trash, staring at the sky. And then you see a city skyline. So at 5:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a blast hits the city, destroying 20 square blocks. They estimate like 4,000 lives have been dispersed of. Colonel Glover still speaking to his boss about the results of said blast, which includes many fires, but it seems like it's okay, man. This rain's taking care of it, right? You know, anything else? No. We've heard some reports about this rain like being irritating and burning skin, but it looks like everything's fucking going back to normal, you know? So all these fires and the rain's coming down, and basically like the events that started in the first place, it basically starts all over again. And that's when we cut to the title. That's where we cut to the credits. It's all over. Fiend. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye. That is Return of the Living Dead. Like I said, it is one of my favorite zombie movies of all time, if not the most favoriteest zombie movie of all time. And sorry, man. Oh, there's Kevin, man. Kevin's there. Who the fuck is Risley Regard? What the fuck? Who the fuck is this guy? Risley Regard. I don't know who the fuck that is. But what up, Kevin? No, you're not late, dude. This is impromptu. I was planning on doing this Sunday, but I said, fuck it. I had time to watch the movie today, do my notes today. So I'm doing it meow. I ain't starting shit over. Send more cops. Yes. So let's talk about some of the lines that are in this. So when the paramedics get attacked, there's another line where I think it's a midget zombie. I think it's the midget zombie gets on the radio, and it's got one of those weird fucking voiceover effects. Send more paramedics. And then it's the same thing with the cops. Send more police. You know, it's the zombies on the fucking radios. So not only do they run, not only do they speak, they can operate shit like a fucking radio. It's fucking crazy shit. Midget spinning on my dick like a frisbee. You're a fucking fruitcake, dude. Whoever the fuck that is. When that zombie says send more cops, when they pull up. Yeah, the fucking zombie Goldberg. Fuck yeah, dude. It was good times. I like this movie. There's a fucking ridiculous amount of fucking zombie movies out there. Did we ever discuss zombie movies as a whole? We're probably going to have to do an episode like that. So we're probably going to revisit this at another juncture. So I would invite fucking Kevin, if you want to jump in and talk about your favorite zombie movies over, you know, all time or whatever like that. You can make a powwow about this. I have no problem doing that. Just got to set it up, make it happen. You know, shit's crazy. Anyway, tune into the Tubes of You on Friday night around 8-ish and look for Layman's Terms, Layman. Yes. We're going to be talking about ghosts. Demi Moore, motherfucker. Sam Wheat. Anyway, that is all she wrote for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I made up for the bullshit that I gave you guys. That was the Monster Squad. It happens. It fucking happens. So that's all she wrote, man. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in the comments, watching me do another episode of the Podcast of Pain. Go to the Patreon. Patreon.com/Podcast of Pain. I got tiers. Check out fucking My Nerd Amount of Toys and Collectibles. Haven't got about that motherfucker in a minute. What up, Matt? Call me, bitch. Call me slowly. Chimera Illustration and Design. He's the motherfucking man. Tactical Trash Out. I don't know what the fuck he's doing right now. But shout them out too. Podcast of Pain, baby. I'm out. Check you guys on the next one.